to do.
I'm just trying to shade for you.
He's been flying since age 18, has accumulated greater than 11,000 hours of flight time in 172 different aircraft, ranging from Piper Cubs to regional transport airliners, gliders, high-performance aerobatic machines. Time U.S. National Aerobatic Champion, 5-time World 4-minute Freestyle Champion. In 2012, he was the recipient of the Art Scholl Award for showmanship, which is the highest honor an air show performer can receive. And he's coming in now for his warm-up figures. Rob is a graduate of Daniel Webster College in 1997 with a Bachelor of Science degree in Aviation Management. He's an airline transport pilot certificate holder, flight instructor, ground instructor, CFI, CFII, AGI, holds glider and seaplane ratings. He's had a variety of aviation jobs, including flight instructor, banner towing pilot, aircraft ferry pilot, corporate pilot, commuter airline pilot. But he's currently working full-time, both domestically and internationally, as a professional air show performer.
And so, Jeff, we now have the everything back up and running. We had a plug come loose on us, and if you're unfamiliar with aerobatics, that was the maneuver you just saw Rob fly was called a warm-up figure, and he pushed the nose up and down, sort of an undulating figure. That's called a belt check maneuver because these guys are pulling very hard and pushing very hard. And pushing would be the opposite of positive G. It actually throws the pilot outside the direction of the cockpit, and so these guys are strapped in extremely tight. It's quite a wild ride, and they want to make sure everything's safe before the actual sequence begins.
What's the most positive and negative G you personally have done?
You want me to broadcast that? 8.5 and...
Positive?
Oh, yeah.
And negative?
Probably about -4.
Yeah. I've probably done +7, maybe -3, but Rob does 10 positive and maybe 8 negative.
Yes, and I know some of the outside snaps these days they're hitting -9 and +11 or 12. So it's a very extreme environment in that very small cockpit.
Okay, well, it looks like he's in the perch, ready to dive into the box. Things are going to start to really happen fast.
Indeed, they will.
I'm going to find it difficult to even call the figures, let alone fly them. I don't know how. All right. So he's diving into the box, and there's the wing wag, signifying the beginning of his competition sequence. This is the known program for Unlimited in 2023. Starts with figure 1, a pull to vertical, half outside snap. And then a P loop, which is a push around with an integrated 4-point roll. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Then continue the push around, the level, then a 3/4 roll, and a 2 out of 8 opposite. 1, 2, and done with figure 1. Figure 2 is a tail slide, begins with a 2 out of 8 roll on the up line. Then he's going to go to 0 airspeed. The airplane's going to slide backwards, and the nose will flip forward. And he'll resume the vertical line, and there'll be a 3/4 snap roll, and he'll be out to the right, downwind, finishing figure 2. Figure 3 is a double Humpty. Pull to vertical, and 3/4 roll. 1, 2, 3, and then a push around on the half loop. And on the down line, there's going to be a 1 1/4 snap. And then a pull around, half loop at the bottom. And a 1/4 roll with a half roll alternating. 1/4 and half roll. Then he's going to cap off towards us on the y-axis. That finishes figure 3. Figure 4 is a spin. He spins to the left. This is 1 1/4. And then there's an outside partial snap on the way down. Same direction. Then down at the bottom there's a P loop, a 3/4 loop, and at the top a 2 out of 4 roll, which brings him upright again, opposite roll, and that finishes the figure. Figure 5 is a rolling circle. It's a 3/4 circle, and there are integrated 1 1/2 rolls. So he's basically rolling a half roll every 90 degrees of turn. That's done. Figure 6, he's going to push to vertical. This is a Humpty Bump. It's a flat-sided loop, so to speak. There's a half loop at the top, which is a push around. And then on the way down, there's a 1 1/4 roll. And boom. And out to our left, and that finishes figure 6. Figure 7 is a hammerhead, but it starts on the vertical line with a 3/4 outside snap. Push and rotate. Then the hammerhead, and we're looking for the airplane to pivot within its wingspan. And down, and on the down line, a 3/4 roll. And out to our right, and finishes that figure. Figure 8 is a figure 8's a figure 8. It starts with a 2-point roll. Then there's a 5/8 loop. And on this 45 down line, he's going to do a 1 1/2 outside snap, which brings him upright again. Then another 5/8 loop. And at the top, 2 out of 8 with 1 1/4 opposite. 1, 2, and 1 1/4 opposite. And off inverted. Then figure 9 begins with an outside snap, a half loop down, and then a roll with a double roll opposite. 1 and 2 and done. And that finishes the sequence. There's a wing wag signaling the end of the sequence. Robert Holland, IAC Vice President, and highly sought after air show performer.
Who's up next, Jeff?
So next is Johnny Wacker. So we're here in central Kansas, standing on the rough pavement of what used to be a Cold War Air Force base, and is now a regional airport for the city of Salina, Kansas. It was selected after an extensive search to be the new home for the U.S. National Aerobatic Contest. We got a little bit of a break before Johnny comes in. I'll introduce myself. How would that be? First, let me bring up Johnny's biography. So I'm Jeff Granger. I'm a retired surgeon from now living in Park City, Utah. Used to live in Ohio. I started my aviation career at age 17, so over 50 years ago. Started in aerobatics in the early 90s. First with a Skybolt biplane, which I had for 5 years, then a 200 horsepower extra, and now an extra 300L. In retirement, I'm working as a flight instructor with Pilot Makers Flight Academy in Provo, Utah, teaching in the Piper Archers and the extra and the Super Decathlon. So this is Johnny Wacker. John's from Mobile, Alabama, and he's flying a, can you guess?
Well, there's only 2 choices.
And this is another extra 330 SC. He's been on the advanced team in 2015, 2017, and 2019. He's coming in now for his warm-up figures. John's been flying competitively since 2009, has been to the U.S. National Championship 6 times, and he consistently finishes the top 10. Competes primarily in the regional contests in the Southeast region. Has been champion in sportsman, intermediate, and advanced.
And so that's, once again, that's Jeff Granger, and I'm Philip Gregg. I'm a sportsman pilot flying a Pitts S2A, and had an S1S for a little while before moving over to the S2A. Johnny's repositioning himself, and we are going to go over to that live feed as he starts to work his way towards his entrance into the box for the known sequence in Unlimited. We should have him up now live. You mind if I call this one?
Okay. Feel free. You got the
Alt-Tab.
sequence?
I've got it right here on the iPad.
All right.
Nice and
we
lit.
can take some turns here.
Yeah, give you a little break there.
My mouth's getting a little dry.
Yeah, it's
unlimited sequence is a challenge.
It's intimidating to have to call all this, and our judges are over there on the line working hard, reading all these, getting these figures read to them, and trying to look at deductions for every little point, every hesitation, every snap roll. They're looking for the quality and character of each maneuver, and it's a big task.
Yeah, and if you've never been on a judging line before, the grading take is high off the airplane. That's why each grading judge needs at least 2 assistants.
Indeed.
One to read the figures, and the other there to record the scores so fast. And
That's right. If you look away in Unlimited or Advanced especially, you may miss an entire figure. So we can see Johnny rolling in on the 45. That's one wing wag. 2 and 3 to signal the start of the sequence. The first figure is a P-loop. He's going to pull to the vertical, and on that vertical line, he's going to do a half outside snap roll. Pulls just past the judges, half outside flick into an outside 3/4 loop. On the top of that loop, we're going to see a 4-point roll, and they'll be counting those numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now he's got to continue to draw that radius, and on the bottom of that line, he's going to do a 3/4 roll and an opposite 2 of 8. 1 and 2. End of figure 1. He's into the tail slide now. There's a 2 of 8 roll on the upline. We'll count those points. 1 and 2. He's now 90 degrees to the judges. This will be a wheels down tail slide. He's stalled. He's definitely moving backwards. And down into a 3/4 inside snap. And he's going to exit to our right. That's the end of the second figure. Figure 3 is called a double Humpty bump. He's going to pull vertical into a 3/4 roll. And the first element of the Humpty is the push top. The nose will depart towards the wheels, and he'll draw that radius over the top. And on the down line, he's got a 1 1/4 inside snap. And then he's going to pull around into a half loop to reach the vertical. A 1/4 roll with an opposing half roll. A 1/4 and a half, and push to level flight to end figure 3. Figure 4 is setting up for a down P loop, which starts with a 1 1/4 inside spin. Slowing the airplane down, looking for the 1G stall speed. And then he's going to the left. 1/2. 1 1/4. On the down line, we have a half outside flick. And he's going to enter into that 3/4 loop, pulling around into the radius, and at the top we'll see a 2 of 4 hesitation roll, followed by a full roll opposite direction. There's the full roll to end the figure. Now a 270-degree roller with 1 1/2 rolls to the inside. He'll exit on what we call the Y-axis towards the judges in the inverted position. And as he finishes that figure, we move into figure 6, which is a push Humpty. He will push to the vertical, draw the half loop on top, moving very slowly now across the top, and a 1 1/4 roll to exit left. That's the end of figure 6, and into 7, a hammerhead with a 3/4 outside snap roll on the upline. Setting up for the hammerhead turn. This is a rudder or stall turn, it's sometimes called. And on the downline 3/4 roll, to his right to exit to our right. Now a lay down S, and this starts with a 2-point roll and into a 5/8 loop. And these two 5/8 loops are connected by a 45 line. On that 45 line, he's going to do a 1 1/2 inside snap roll. Oh, outside. Did I say inside? Pardon me. Back into the 5/8 loop. And at the top, it will be a 2 of 8, opposite 1 1/4 roll. So let's count those points. 1, 2, and opposite 1 1/4. And the figure inverted, and he enters the final figure with that full outside snap, and then into a half loop down. And at the bottom of this radius, full roll, opposite double roll. So there's 360 degrees of rotation, and this will be 720 degrees of rotation, and that is the end of Mr. Johnny Wacker's known flight at the U.S. Nationals.
Very nice, very nice. Coming up next is A.J. Wilder. A.J.'s flying a extra 330 SC. We will see some other aircraft today, though. AJ was on the U.S. Advanced team in Romania in 2018, and he was on the U.S. Unlimited team in 2019 that competed at Chateauroux, south of Paris. And then just last year, he was with the Unlimited team in Lesno, Poland. AJ's been flying over 25 years. in addition to his extra 330 SC, he has multiple ratings in nearly every type of aircraft. He's kind of a rating hound. He likes to pursue new ratings. AJ co-founded the Figure One Aviation Scholarship Foundation in 2015, which is a nonprofit dedicated to granting young adults. For his day job, he's an architect and taught architecture in Culver City, California.
And he flies out of Santa Paula. So to our friends in Santa Paula, who I'm sure are watching, we miss you. We wish you could be here, and we're excited for AJ to be out here with us.
And this aircraft he's flying today is brand new. I think this is the first time it's flown in competition.
I believe that's correct. He did fly at Apple Valley this year, and he flew at NorCal, but I believe that was his old airplane.
His older airplane.
Yeah, I had seen a picture of this airplane that he showed me, but I just got to see it for the first time the other day, and it's a beautiful matte black with yellow.
It is gorgeous, with his Rumblebee air show logo on it, because he also does some air shows.
Yes, that's right. And the other airplane was called Rumblebee, but it was not painted quite like a bumblebee. So this is a new artistic take on that concept, and it was very well executed. So we're gonna fade over to the practice figure, and we should start picking up the stream there of AJ.
Coming in for his warm-up figures. Gotta get the man and the machine warmed up.
That's right.
Sounds like he's got that prop control pushed all the way forward, huh?
Mine's not that loud.
The vertical line, it'll pull around. This is one of the allowable warm-up figures that the unlimited pilots can do. It's just too tough to go in to the box cold.
That's right. And we'll see the belt check again. So look at, he pushes and you see that little bit of up and down, and that's just to make sure that he's safe for outside G.
And stretching out those double padded lap belts.
Yeah. Do you want to call this one and then we can alternate, or?
Yeah, I can call this one.
Okay.
All right, he's over our heads getting lined up for his entry into the competition box. Just like any other sport, aerobatics has a competition zone, you know?
Yeah, and so far every competitor has entered from about the same box position and pulled from about the same altitude. We'd have to estimate that. We don't have numbers in front of us, but it looks like most of these competitors are choosing to enter in the same relative position to the judges.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
For those of you who are not familiar with the competition box, it's marked out on the ground. It's 1,000 meters square, a kilometer. It doesn't. That sounds pretty big, but an aircraft like that can cross the box in, what, 6-7 seconds?
It's just a few seconds, and I can tell you in your first primary or sportsman contest, the first time you see the box from the air, you think, I have to fly in that?
Yeah. Of course, in primary or sportsman, you're going quite a bit slower, but here he comes. Here he comes. All right, first figure. Pull to vertical, outside half snap. P loop with a 4-point roll, and this roll has to be integrated into the loop. No flat spots. He's coming around. He's going to do a 3/4 roll with a 2 out of 8 opposite. 2, and that ends figure 1. Figure 2 is a tail slide, begins with a pull to vertical, a 2 out of 8 roll on the way up.
And we're seeing that nice invasion striping on the bottom. That's the first time I'm seeing that. I didn't crawl under the airplane when I saw it. But
makes it easy to tell which side of the airplane you're looking at.
That's right. Yeah,
and he flips forward, almost onto his back and down. Then a 3/4 snap. That takes him out to the right. Back into the box, to the judge's right. Figure 3 is a double humpty, sometimes called a paper clip. Pull to vertical and a 3/4 roll. And then this is a push around half loop. Push, 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 down to a vertical line. And on the vertical line, there's going to be a 1 1/4 snap. Then there's a pull around at the bottom. And on the way up, a 1/4 roll with a half roll opposite. Then he's going to lay out upright towards us. Next is a 1 1/4 turn spin. He spun to the left, and now he does an outside snap, also to the left. And that takes him back onto the x-axis, where he does a P loop, a 3/4 loop. And at the top, he's going to do a 2 out of 4 with a roll opposite. 1, 2, and a roll opposite, and done with that figure. Figure 5 is a rolling circle. It's a 270-degree turn with 1.5 rolls up integrated into that. So basically a half roll with every 90 degrees of turn.
Yeah, and it's a fantastic maneuver. The airplane should continuously roll and continuously turn, and if it's done right, it looks beautiful from the ground, but it doesn't feel very good from the cockpit, does it?
It's got some fancy footwork involved. Figure 6 is to vertical, and then he's going to push around on his half loop. There's no rolls on this up line. On the down line, though, there's a 1.25 roll, and there. And then he finishes upright and done with that figure. Figure 7 on the upwind side of the box is a hammerhead. Begins with a 3/4 snap on the way up. Puts his top wing facing us, and then he's going to do the hammerhead pivot. Looks like he's pivoting right on his left wing tip. Comes down and 3/4 roll, and out to our right. Figure 8 is a figure 8. 2-point roll, and then a 5/8 loop. Figure 8 is a figure 8. 1.5 snap, outside, push, and rotate. And another 5/8 loop. Top, there's going to be a 2 out of 8 roll. That's a 1/4 roll with a point, 1, 2, and then a 1.25 roll opposite. Out inverted. Figure 9 is a full outside snap, then a half loop down, and a roll with a double roll opposite.
1.5, 1, 1.5, and 2, and that's it.
AJ's done.
So we mentioned the weather a little bit earlier. The winds aloft at 3,000 feet are about 45 degrees off of the box direction at 14 knots. Now that might pose a problem to some of the lower category competitors, but these are very well-trained and experienced competitors, and so there are no visible wind effects from this crowd because they will be able to compensate for that level of wind without really thinking about it. That's the level of experience and knowledge that this category has. Coming up next, we have Mr. Jeff Boerboon.
Jeff Boerboon. Bourboon. I like pronounced like bourbon.
And not spelled the same.
But not spelled quite the same.
Ordinarily, I'd have this where I could keep records on it.
Yeah. Oh, you can have it.
And we're hearing, I think, from the chief judge's line that we're having a little bit of a break. So it looks like the judging line is standing up, and we've got a little bit of a pause here before Jeff is able to put his performance on for us.
All right. And what's Jeff Boerboon flying today?
Well, it's funny you should ask, because it's another 330
Another
SC.
extra 330 SC.
Yeah. It was not one of it wasn't the first in the country. That was AJ's old airplane, but it was one of the earlier SCs that showed up to the Nationals back when it was in Denison.
Yeah, he's had it for quite a while.
Yeah.
I have flown with him in my extra. He came to Ohio once to be our acro camp instructor, and had a good time flying with him. He flew unlimited in 2009 in Silverstone, the United Kingdom, during the championships there. He was on the unlimited team in 2015 in Châteauroux, France, with Goody Thomas and Rob Holland, Brett Hunter and Melissa Pemberton, Mark Nowajewski, Mike Galloway. He trained at University of North Dakota, where he was an aerobatic flight instructor, member of their team in 1989 and 1990.
And I think actually this is an opportunity to mention that not only do we have a team here from UND, and they've had a lot of success in aerobatic competition, but we have the college team from MSU, Metropolitan State University in Denver, and we're always lucky every year to have great involvement from the United States Air Force Academy.
Yes. Boerboon flies for a major airline. Should remain nameless.
A non-disclosed major airline.
Undisclosed major airline. He also does air shows, and he flies an amazing a one-of-a-kind airplane. I don't know if you've seen the Yak 110 fly.
I saw it before it was built, and I saw the 2 Yaks in Del Collar's hangar. Yeah, so I lived in Boise for a little while, and I got to know Del Collar, who was the builder of that aircraft, and I've had some conversations with Jeff and Del about it. It is really something.
It's an amazing airplane. I didn't see it being built, but I've seen it fly at air shows a couple times. They call it the Yak 110 because it's a fusion of 2 Yak 55s, right?
That's right. There was a custom-made spar, and then there was some metal work that had to bring the 2 pieces together. So we've got 2 radial engines and a jet engine slung beneath the center wing, now center wing, if you will.
It looks kind of like a P-38 Lightning, except they don't have the center fuselage.
It does.
There's a cockpit on either side.
That's right. It looks a little like something out of Star Wars.
Yeah. Sometimes called the Frankenplane. Looks like came out of Dr. Frankenstein's laboratory.
And Jeff is also a former U.S. National Aerobatic Champion.
Yes.
2010.
2010. Do I hear him up?
I hear an airplane. And we're seeing the judging line starting to foment back into their judging positions.
To pay a little bit of attention.
Yeah.
We got a great day for it. It's cool and it's kind of semi-warm, dry. There's a light wind from the judges' left. It's really an ideal day for a contest.
It is, and you know, this contest requires competitors, but nothing happens without our volunteers, and so we're not maybe going to be able to get all the names out right away, but Mr. Shad Colson has taken on the heavy mantle of contest director and is doing a great job. We have a lot of people on the judging line helping out in small and huge ways. The people working in the back office contribute to this contest in a way that is the only way that it functions, quite frankly. So in no particular order, though, Assistant Contest Director Matt Maticoli, Steve Curzon, Alice Johnson, Mary Beth Rudd, Monique Hartman, Sarah Arnold, Dale Burkett and Doug Veda out on the starting line, and those guys risk sunburn every day so that we can have this contest for an entire week.
Speaking of sunburn, I got here on, what's today, Sunday?
Today's Sunday.
I got here on Thursday, midday, and joined Gary DeBon with the practice box.
Well, and both you and Gary make that box function, and I really appreciate all the hard work you do out there.
Okay. All right,
We've got
Aircraft coming in.
Jeff Bourke coming in on a warm-up figure.
So there's a pull to vertical, and probably pull around on a Humpty or a hammerhead. Both are allowable warm-up figures. Gives him a chance to pull some G. Sounds like he's pulling the power back there a little bit on the down line.
That's right. Am I reading? Okay. I will call. And there's your belt check.
There's a roll and belt check. And he's going to pull up over our heads and back to the downwind side of the box to get ready for his entry.
Yeah.
Gary DeBon on the...
I can't follow. Yeah,
it's okay.
Theoretically, if you go right, I can chase it.
Okay, got it.
I joined Gary on the practice box on Thursday, and he's out there from dawn till dusk every day, monitoring the box so that the competitors can get in and practice.
He also oversees laying out the box, doesn't he?
He does. He lays out the box markers.
It's a lot of work.
He was there a couple days before I arrived, laying the markers out on the ground, surveying those so that the pilots can see the competition zone from the air. The box markers are enormous, seem enormous when you're handling them on the ground, and they seem minuscule when you see them from the air.
That's right. Yeah, that's another revelation that you have when you first get into the sport is they look very small from the air, but requires a real effort to put them out on the ground.
It does, yeah.
And so we don't have a live feed of the Jeff because he's flying behind the judges at the moment. We don't have the camera angle, so we will cut back to Jeff as soon as we are able. Sounds like he is just behind the judges right now. And I'm picking him up coming on a base leg. And we'll cut over to Jeff. He is diving in. And we have wing
there's the wing wag.
Okay.
Game on.
And wow, he just he really accelerated quite a bit there. That was impressive. Okay, first maneuver is a P loop, in which he pulls to the vertical and does a half outside snap. Push around into the radius and a 4-point roll on the top. 1, 2, and 4. And he's got to continue to push around that radius. And at the bottom of that radius, 3/4 roll, opposite 2 of 8. 1, 2, that's end of figure 1. He's into the tail slide, 2 of 8 up, and it'll be a wheels down tail slide. That aircraft will slowly come to a stop and actually start to back up, and there you can start to detect the motion. Flips nose down, and a 3/4 inside snap roll to set up for an exit to our right. Into figure 3, a double hump. He's repositioning in the box just a little bit, pulls up into the vertical, 3/4 roll up with a push top. And he's going to push over the top towards the judges here. One and a quarter inside snap roll. And pull around into the half loop. And on the second vertical, I guess it's the third vertical in the double hump, quarter opposite 1/2. And push to level flight. Setting up for the 1 1/4 positive spin and a down P loop. But before he pulls for that radius, 1/2, 1 1/4, he has a half outside snap roll. Into the 3/4 loop, and at the top of that loop, pulling into the radius now, 2 of 4, that's 2 points of a 4-point roll. And opposite full roll. Into the 270-degree rolling turn with 1.5 rolls to the inside. Takes it away from the judges. He's at 180 degrees and level. And he's got a half roll and 90 degrees to go. Finishing up towards the judges to end figure 5. Figure number 6 is a push, pull Humpty. So he pushes to the vertical. Pushing over the top now. And on the down line, 1 1/4 roll. Exit left. And setting up for the hammerhead. 3/4 outside snap. And looking for that stall turn, hammerhead, rudder turn. And a 3/4 roll on the downline. This is the horizontal S, lay down S, 2-point roll, and into the 5/8 loop. 5/8 loop will take him to an inverted 45-degree line, and on that inverted 45-degree line, he's going to have to put a 1.5 outside snap. 1/2, 1.5. And then into a second 5/8 loop, which he'll put a 2 of 8, 2 of an 8-point roll, and an opposite 1 1/4 roll. And the final figure, roll we've seen before, half loop down, full roll, opposite double roll. And 1/2, 1.5, and 2. And that's the end of Jeff's sequence.
Very nice. Coming up next is Goody Thomas, is that correct?
That is what we're showing.
Everybody calls him Goody. His name is Goodwin Thomas. He's a pilot for a major airline. He's been on the U.S. Unlimited team in 2007, 2009, 2010, 11, and 2015, 2019.
That's correct. And in the behind the order of flight there, we just, I think we're looking at Steve Grohsmeyer taxiing out in that blue MXS. So a little action there.
Yeah.
Coincidental, but we got it.
Is Goody next or Steve?
Goody is next. No,
Goody's
I just
next.
mentioned
Okay.
because that's what we have on the video feed.
All right. So Goody's been flying since he was 13. His father and grandfather flew in the military, and he fell in love with aviation when he was young, building model airplanes and model rockets. Did you build model airplanes and model rockets?
I would be embarrassed to show you any of them. They had a lot of extra glue on them.
Oh, I see.
That's why I went to full-size airplanes.
I spent all my allowance money on model airplanes and model rockets. He attended Clemson University and started corporate flying after college. Eventually made his way up to the airlines. He started aerobatics when he was 23, flying a Pitts S2B, and flew his first contest in Keystone, Florida in 1998. I guess we started about the same time in the 1990s. He received the Charlie Hilliard Award in 2011 as the highest scoring pilot at the World Contest. And he's flying an extra 330 SC,
Yeah.
strangely enough.
Yeah. Is the Charlie Hilliard, I'm not familiar with that award, is it the highest scoring American at a U.S. contest?
Highest scoring pilot at the World Contest. That's what it says here.
Well, it has to be highest scoring U.S. pilot.
US pilot.
Yeah,
Yep,
so
US
I
pilot.
believe Charlie Hilliard was the world champion in 1972 at Salon de Provence.
Okay.
That's the best of my recollection. And you had the dynamic team of Gene Soucy, Paul Poberezny, and Charlie Hilliard all flying little red S1 Pittses. And I think back then they had the known freestyle, unknown, but the 4-minute free, or what passed for the 4-minute free then, was actually integrated with the world champion figure. And as the story goes, he demonstrated the torque roll for the first time at that contest, and that sort of cinched the championship.
Which no one had ever seen before.
That is
Probably.
correct. And so now the award for the 4-minute free is separated from the world champion in a pure rusty sense. So it's more of an air show routine. But I believe at that time those scores were all integrated.
At that time, you could win a world contest flying a little red Pitts, huh?
Yes, you could, but the days were numbered. Indeed.
Yeah.
So we've been with monoplanes for a long time now.
Yeah, I haven't seen a little red Pitts in Unlimited for a while. We did see a couple of them in the advanced contest here last year.
And we're cutting over to Goody. We're looking for a warm-up figure, I'm sure. I believe there have been a few entrants. Gene Beggs flew an S1T in South Cerny in 1986, and I believe there's a S1 with Ultimate Wings from Canada that competed in a world contest not too long ago.
Okay. Goody Thomas. Did I call this one?
It's all you.
That's all me.
I called Jeff.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a pull around Humpty. And pump that stick. Or not.
Okay. And Goody looks like is going to fly behind us, so we're going to cut over to the order of flight feed just momentarily, or maybe we can go over to the starter cam. Don't see anyone in there. Here's another look at our hangar while he comes around behind us. We have a quick moment here. This is Philip Gregg and Jeff Granger is with me. We're here at the U.S. National Aerobatic Championships in Salina, if you're just tuning in. And since we have a moment, we probably have some EAA members who are not IAC members yet. And we get a lot of great people coming in from the EAA to join the IAC. So if you're not an IAC member, we have a lot to offer: education, competition, fun, and a magazine that comes out 6 times a year, and an e-newsletter as well. So if you're thinking about joining us, please do.
If you have the least interest in aerobatics, join the IAC and get our wonderful magazine and our recently redesigned website at IAC.org, and join a local chapter. Which chapter do you belong to, Philip?
I belong to 15, 24, and 36. So
Okay.
that's Dallas, San Diego, and Kansas City.
Okay. And I belong to 34, which is Ohio, my old chapter from my Ohio days, and 36, which was the first chapter that I joined when I moved to the Mountain West. And then just recently we started a chapter for Utah, 139.
And I told you I would join if you formed up, but you haven't sent me a bill yet.
Well, as soon as we're done here.
Okay, wing wags are on.
And he's on his way in. Figure 1. A pull to vertical and a outside half snap. P-loop with a 4-point roll integrated into the top. and pushing around. That's got to hurt. 3/4 roll and 2 out of 8 opposite. Pushing to pulling to vertical. This is Goody, Thomas.
This is Goody.
This is Goody. Tail slide and 3/4 snap. This is Goody. Figure 3. 3/4 roll. Push around on the half loop. One and a quarter snap. Quarter roll and half roll opposite. And he's going to cap off on the y-axis towards us. Then a 1 1/4 turn spin. And a 3/4 or half outside snap in the same direction. P loop. And a 2 out of 4 roll at the top with a full roll opposite. Done. Figure 5 is a rolling circle, 270 degrees with 1.5 rolls integrated to the inside. That finishes figure 5. Now he's coming towards us inverted, and figure 6 begins with a push to the vertical and a push around half loop, known as a Humpty Bump, and then 1 1/4 rolls on the down line and out to our left, upright. Figure 7 is a hammerhead, and it has rolls on up and down. The up roll is a negative 3/4 snap, and then there's a hammerhead pivot. And a 3/4 roll on the way down. And out upright to our right. Figure 8 is the lay down 8. Begins with a 2-point roll. 5/8 loop. On this 45 down line, a 1.5 outside snap. Another 5/8 loop. And at the top, a 2 out of 8 roll with an opposite 1 1/4. And inverted. Figure 9 begins with a full snap, negative, half loop down, a full roll and a double roll opposite. And done. That finishes the sequence for Goody Thomas.
And while we were talking about key volunteers, we're actually surrounded by 2 people that we couldn't do this broadcast without and couldn't have nationals without, and that's our sport aerobatics editor and social media guru Lori Penner and Forrest Fox. So thanks to them for setting all this up, and critically these flights are being recorded principally for judging review should that become necessary. But the side benefit is we've been working the last couple of years to be able to bring this video live to you if you're not able to attend nationals in person.
So is the next aircraft another extra?
Well, let's see. Let's have a look at the list. It's our second of 3 MX aircraft.
Yeah.
Yep.
We got 2 more. This is Steve Grohsmeyer coming up.
That's correct.
And then our own Jim Bourke, and both are flying MX. So the MX is an all-composite aircraft. I believe the company's based in Australia now. And These are experimentals, not factory built like the extras. Steve qualified for the 2022 team, but he was not able to travel. He's a retired U.S. Marine Corps helicopter pilot and experimental test pilot. He flew heavy lift helicopters for the Marines, and then he later actually worked on the tilt rotor, the Osprey.
V-22.
Yeah, the V-22 Osprey. So he's quite a brilliant pilot and engineer. He lives in Franklin, Kentucky, has a wealth of aviation experience, both civilian and military. He also, he's flying the MX now, but he used to fly an aircraft he called the Eigenhawk Solution. Do you remember the Eigenhawk?
I learned about the Eigenhawk from Steve at the regional contest last year in Salem, and I noted his email, and I said, what is that? He told me a little bit about it, but you can probably tell the folks more about it.
It was an unlimited class monoplane of his own design. It was basically a clean sheet design. I have a lot of admiration for somebody that can piece of paper and a slide rule or a computer and design their own and build their own airplane from scratch, which is what he did.
Yeah. And Steve's just finishing. We have it up on the feed now. Steve's just finishing a warm-up maneuver, and I had to take my eyes down, but it looked to me like that was maybe a horizontal S, or
was it a figure eight?
Yeah, figure eight. So he chose a slightly different figure. It looks like some of the other folks wanted to warm up on a vertical, and he chose the radius there. And he's going to be coming around behind us again, it looks like. So we'll just pick him up on the other side. I think we'll leave that feed where it is for now. I can call, or do you want?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. So Steve's passing over our heads. He's going up to get into his position for a dive into the box. Although these upper categories take place at a lower altitude, they want to come in with plenty of power and speed, a lot of kinetic energy. So he's going to go up there and get prepared for his dive into the box. Steve's a nice fella, kind of a little soft-spoken, but...
Well, it takes all personality types, doesn't it? We have some high-energy folks, and we have some calm people,
some flamboyant ones.
Yeah, and Steve is Steve's a very relaxed guy.
Yeah.
So I imagine up in that cockpit, he's probably just as relaxed as he is on the ground.
You could do a whole psychological profile on aerobatic pilots. They tend to be, to find a lot of engineering types among
and
these pilots.
Steve's coming in low here to start his sequence. We're back over to Steve. We're going to pull into the P loop here, just getting the video set up for you with the banner there and a half out vertical up. And then into the 3/4 outside loop with a 4-point roll on top. The judges will be counting each of those points. We have a 3/4 roll opposite 2 of 8. And then into figure 2, which is the tail slide, and 2 of 8 up. Judges are looking for those perfect vertical up, perfect vertical down, round radiuses. There's judging criteria for each of these maneuvers. 3/4 inside snap on the down line here. Exit right. And into the double Humpty Bump. So there are 3 vertical lines in this figure. The first vertical, see that 3/4 roll again with a push top. He's flying around the outside of that half loop. He's sitting on top of the world right there, and then pushing down. Setting up for the 1 1/4 inside snap. He'll pull that stick back, push the rudder, around the world goes. Into a half loop. 1/4 roll up and opposite 1/2. If you tune into the other categories, you'll notice that most of the airplanes don't roll quite this fast. So at the limited level, these roll rates are really quite blinding. He's setting up for figure 4 and the 1 1/4 inside spin. He's driving a little bit towards the judges here. It looks like he wants to adjust his position. And there it goes into the auto rotation. Setting the down line, then he's going to push into the half outside snap. And around into a 3/4 loop. This is a down P loop core figure. 2 of 4 points on the top with a full roll opposite. into the 270 roller. Again, that's a 270-degree turn integrated with 1.5 rolls. The aircraft needs to roll and turn continuously. And that's the end of that figure. Into figure 6, which is a push-push-pull Humpty. It's a push to the vertical, nothing up on this figure. And he's pushing around again, sitting on top of the world. 1.25 roll, and he'll exit left. Into the hammerhead. 3/4 outside snap. And a stall turn, pivot, or hammerhead. Can you think of any other names for hammerhead, Jeff?
No, hammerhead in Europe, in England, they may call it a stall turn. Yeah. But we could talk about whether or not that's a correct.
I don't think we have enough time to hash that one out, do we?
Maybe later.
And into the laydown S here with a 2-point roll before the radius work. So he's going to go into the 5/8 loop. And again, that puts him out on the inverted 45-degree line. And on that line, he has to set a 1.5 outside snap roll. So we'll see a little nose deflection as he pushes. Round 1/2, 1.5. And again, into a 5/8 loop. Pulling tight. He had a lot of that negative G exposure. You have to go into that big pull there. It's a big G differential. 2 of 8, 1.25 opposite. And figure 9 is a full outside flick. Half loop down. And on the bottom, a full roll opposite double roll. That's the end of the sequence for Steve.
End of sequence. End of figure, end of sequence.
As we would say on the judging line, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
If you're announcing those figures for the judge, he wants to know when the figure ends so he can give the score. He wants to know when the sequence ends so he can give the score on overall presentation.
And you're wearing many hats here, so are you our medical director?
Well, I've got about 4 hats that I wear.
Yeah.
Let's see, what's his name tag say? Oh, assistant to the box monitor, because Gary DeBon, he's the overall box monitor.
That's right, he's our chief.
It's a tough job. You got to be there from dawn till dusk, and we take turns monitoring the box and giving the briefing to the competitors and having them sign the waivers and whatnot, and spelling each other for bathroom breaks and lunch breaks and so on. And then I'm also the assistant medical director. The full-time medical director unfortunately had an issue, wasn't able to come. There's not much for the medical director to do at these contests, though.
Let's hope not.
Let's hope not.
Yeah. And you're judging, are you not?
I'm going to be judging advanced, so I'm a grading judge. And then there's this job, the doing the video feed. So.
How's the pay?
Wonderful.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Again, we wouldn't be able to put this on without a lot of volunteer activity and people pitching in to work out together and help out, and that's a big part of what this week is.
I think there's almost as many volunteers here as there are non-flying volunteers here as there are competitors.
There are. I know for a fact there are more registered volunteer onlys than there are any competitors in any one category. I think we have 84 pilots, and we just have we're really blessed with a huge group of volunteers that come out, and you're one of them. You're not flying here.
No. I flew contests regularly for about 25 years, but I'm more interested in judging and helping with contest organization and teaching and mentoring new competitors. So coming up next, and the last flight, I believe, is Jim Bourke. Jim is our IAC president. He's also flying an MX, which he just acquired. This is, I believe, the first contest flight for him.
I think he flew this aircraft in Corvallis.
Oh, did he?
And he may have flown it in Sebring.
Okay,
yeah.
I stand corrected. Jim has been on the U.S. team 2017. He was on the U.S. team that competed in Châteauroux, France in 2019, and then again in Poland just last year in 2022. He's a graduate of the University of Nebraska in computer science and has been interested in aviation since childhood. He was an avid enthusiast of radio-controlled model and drones and developed a company, Knife Edge Software, is a leader in flight simulation technology, and he sold that to Horizon Hobby in 2021. I believe he recently acquired Southeast Aero and rebranded it as Extreme Aerosports.
I would not know anything about that.
In St. Augustine, Florida.
That's interesting news.
Which is a aircraft sales and service company. Yeah. He's now president of the IAC. He's a national judge, contest director, juror, unlimited team member, and deeply enjoys the sport.
Yeah. And so, yes, I just wanted to verify, Jim, it appears that Jim flew this at the Corvallis Corkscrew and at the Snowbird Classic.
Okay.
Yeah, and he also competed at the Estrella contest, which serves as the Advanced and Unlimited Glider Championships that now occurs in Arizona.
So competes at a high level, not just in power competition, but in glider competition.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think he's setting up for his entry.
All right.
Looks like he's turning around.
He's turning and eyeballing the box.
Yeah.
Give me a heads up when he dives and gives the wing wag.
He is now
signal.
turning away. Let's see if he's going to roll in here or not. And it looks like he's diving in on the 45 now. We've got him on the video feed. There are the wing wags.
There's the wing wag, and game on.
Take it away, Mr. Jeff Granger.
All right.
Dr. Jeff Granger.
Last sequence for this category. Figure 1. Pull to vertical, outside half flick. P-loop. This is a push around P-loop with an integrated 4-point roll. Pushing around, 3/4 roll at the bottom, 2 out of 8 opposite. And end of figure 1. Figure 2 is the tail slide with some rolls on the up line and on the down line. The up line rolls at 2 out of 8, puts the wings along the x-axis, showing us the back of the airplane. And then we want to see him slide back. And on the down line, a 3/4 snap. Takes him out to the right, downwind on the x-axis. Figure 3, the double Humpty. Pull to vertical with a 3/4 roll. And a push around half loop. One and a quarter snap or flicks, you could call them, on the way down. Then a pull around half loop. A quarter roll and a half roll opposite. That puts his wings, that puts him on the Y axis again, and he's going to lay out upright, cap off upright. 1 1/4 spin.
That sort of steel gray is showing up very nicely against that blue sky. It's very easy to see.
A half snap, same direction. And a P-loop. Two out of 4 at the top. 1, 2, and a roll opposite. And done with figure 4. Figure 5 is the rolling circle, and this is a 270-degree circle with 3 inside half rolls, well, or 1 1/2 full rolls, depending on your point of view.
But continuous, of course.
Continuous,
yeah,
yes,
so continuous turn, continuous roll and a half, and any change in the turn, any change in the roll is a deduction.
Yeah. That finishes. Figure 6 is a push to vertical, and then a push around half loop. And a 1 1/4 roll on the down line, and out to our left. Smoke. Figure 7 is the hammer head, a 3/4 negative. And we want to see a basically 0 airspeed pivot to the left. Set up the down line. And a 3/4 roll, and and then out on the x-axis to our right. Figure 8 is the figure 8. 2-point roll, pull around, 5/8 loop.
Getting a little wind gust
Yeah,
here on the
a little
surface.
gust
This
of
is the
wind
first
here.
one we've had today, so hopefully we're not getting any distorted audio.
Okay. 1.5 outside snap. Another 5/8 loop. And the rolls are a 2 out of 8 with an opposite 1 1/4. And done. And figure 9, a negative snap. Half loop down. At the bottom, a roll with a double roll opposite. And there's the wing wagon, he's done. And that's the end of the figure, that's the end of the sequence, and that's the end of the category.
And that's right. And so we may have some housekeeping things we want to talk about.
All right.
Let me put up the schedule so folks can look at it. But we have a lot of flying going on this week. Starting tomorrow, we have the Advanced Known that is scheduled to start at 8 o'clock. That will be followed by the Sportsman Power and Glider and Primary Glider Known flight at 11 o'clock. And the Unlimited folks will be back with their freestyles at 3 o'clock. Podcasts.
Oh, have a good night.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Phil.
I was trying not to listen to it a whole bunch because I was sitting right next to Hector, and I didn't want to disrupt him, but the little bit that I did listen to